We are delighted to have you here at the PHILSME Business Show. This is a business podcast and vodcast dedicated to help SME business owners like you boost your business. On today's episode, we meet Mr. RJ Ledesma, the consul of Monaco to the Philippines, a jack of all trades and a master of all. Get mentored by RJ on entrepreneurship and business innovation at the Philippine SME Business Conference. Go to philsme.com/conference. Stay tuned for a few messages from the sponsors that made this episode happen.
Imagine your business not just reaching its goals, but surpassing them. With Esquire Financing, that vision is not just a possibility, it's reality. Get the cash your business needs in as fast as 3 days, making your barriers become stepping stones. Our partnership is a sure success.
Running a business can be hard, but over 7 million people have found a way to make it easier with Odoo. Odoo's suite of business applications streamline, automate, and simplify your business. With user-friendly, intuitive, and fully integrated apps for CRM, accounting, e-commerce, manufacturing, inventory management, you name it, Odoo's got it. Stop wasting time with old software and start getting stuff done with Odoo. Get a free trial at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Welcome to the PHILSME Business Show. I am Trixie Esguerra-Abrenilla, the CEO and Managing Director of the PHILSME Business Expo and Network. And today, I'm very excited because we have with us the Editor-in-Chief of the Business Manual, a serial entrepreneur, a professional motivational speaker, and a podcaster. And that's just some of the many titles that he has. Ladies and gentlemen, we have RJ Ledesma.
Trix, what a pleasure to be here on the program. For PhilSME, as you know, it's very close to my heart because David and yourself are also very close to my heart. So thank you so much for having us over here.
Thank you. Naiiyak naman ako. Hindi ko alam to start. Thank you so much, RJ. Alam ko sobrang jam-packed the schedule.
Yeah, but no problem. Always a time to pay it forward for fellow entrepreneurs.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I wear many hats. I wish I had just as many heads. And I think that's always important because, as an entrepreneur and you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you're always a generalist. So you're always trying to, like for me, I'm a host professionally. So I host different events, but it's also a way for me to get a bigger picture of what's happening. So that's very important for me because when you have an open mind as a generalist, you get to see pain points, right? And pain points are what entrepreneurs need to find out so they can solve those problems, right? And the second thing also that's very important for me is that I strongly believe in the mantra, your network is your net worth. So that's why I like the PhilSME network because there's a bigger network that you grow, but I'm also part of many different networks which include BNI, which is Business Network International, because it gives me a chance to really build my networking skills. So I'd like to think that, to be a great entrepreneur, networking skills is just part and parcel of what it is to be an entrepreneur in action.
Wow. I would always ask, what are you grateful for today? Pero before I do that, I want to ask you, how do you do all these things? And dami kasi talaga eh. I mean, that's one thing that most entrepreneurs would struggle, yung time management and how. But you, and dami, how?
I have several clones in the house, so I'm clone number 5. Yung mga iba na sa bahay lang eh. Nagre-ready lang sila eh. No, but actually, it's not so much that I have a lot of time. It's really where I am prioritizing my time when it comes to business and entrepreneurship. So for example, you have to determine, like for myself, I have to determine in terms of time. Some people are in the car or they're playing they're playing games on their phone, or they are, doing other, extracurricular activities or hobbies. Mine is really a day filled with what can I do today in terms of, the first part of the week is for meetings. The next part of the week is scheduled for hostings, let's say. So it's really a prudent scheduling of the activities and prioritizing which one creates the most return for you. Really, I think that's how you really sort of schedule things. It's not that you have enough time, but it's how you put together the time and what you prioritize with the time that is important. Like for me, if it's to create a new business venture, then you have to give more time for that one. If it's to make connections for business, you have to give time for that one. If it's to build connections, most importantly, with my wife and the kids, that's something I give priority to. So, and it's just a matter of saying there are certain things that you just have to say no to. I mean, not so much recreational, but more for business. That's how I think of things.
You also do real estate.
Yes.
And when you talked about, the one that gives the most about returns, and we all know real estate is number one. So how is it? But I still see you everywhere.
I think it's just a matter of what you prioritize. Like, for example, for me, like you said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And one of the biggest things, which is still my baby, is still Mercato Central. And Mercato Central, why it's close to my heart, is that it's not just a business, but it's an advocacy. Because what we see ourselves as is small food business incubators. My job is to create venues and distribution channels for small food businesses to grow, to incubate, and hopefully graduate from us. We've got many great graduates from Mercato. Thai Mango, Tokyo Tempura. One time we had Mama Lou's in the market as well, Pedal Cafe. We had Bagwing. So many people came through the market and eventually graduated and established themselves. So we're very happy over there. And so as an entrepreneur, you have to keep on going in that value chain. How do I go even deeper to support the growth of entrepreneurs? So we found that from that business model, we figured out another pain point of entrepreneurs is that when they join, they have the passion, but they don't necessarily have the skill set. So we created a Mercato Academy for us to help them build their skill sets in terms of how do you price food, how do you operate, how do you sell, particularly in a bazaar setting. So that's what Mercato is. It's continually finding great venues that we can create for that one. And because just like you, we both have the gift of speaking, I went into, of course, a lot of business motivational talks because I do a podcast also called the RJ Ledesma podcast, if you have a chance. That is on Google, Apple, Spotify, and on Facebook as well. And I speak literally to hundreds of different business owners and entrepreneurs to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, can we replicate them, and more importantly, what business opportunities do they see emerging in the future. So, I've learned a lot from them. I've learned from my own experiences. So I often give a lot of motivational talks on business. In particular, what people like the most, especially when I give it for companies, is that I talk about the entrepreneurial mindset. The entrepreneurial mindset means that how do you think like an entrepreneur inside an organization? Because we often say that if somebody works for a company, has a sense of ownership for the company, there's more at stake. They want to make things better because sometimes the people in the company know the problems best and they know how to solve them. So I give talks on entrepreneurial mindset, also on things which include what I call the hustle, because it's part of a spectrum. When you're an entrepreneur, you realize there's certain skills that you need. There's the entrepreneurial mindset, which means that you always look at the world from a lens of opportunity. You have what I call the hustle mindset. Hustle means that you work like your business is a startup. Now, lagi walang pera, walang enough resources, so you have to outwork, outthink, out-hustle other people. Then there's the grit. Grit meaning that, it's how to really get things done despite adversity, because any entrepreneur will face adversity. And then the next one is what we call failure. Not failure per se, but how do you perceive failure? Because for many of us, we were trained that failure is the end, di ba? But for entrepreneurs, failure is just feedback. It's a feedback loop on how to improve. And that leads into what we call the growth mindset. Failure is just part of the growth mindset. Growth mindset just means that you don't tell yourself parang, I can't improve because pinanganak ako ganito. It's that, with determination, hard work, you can change things, you can improve things. So I always tell my son, if he doesn't do good in the game, you didn't do good right now, but you're learning to get better at what you're doing. So that's important for an entrepreneur to realize when it's failure, it's just part of the growth mindset. Tuition fee lang yan, di ba? And then finally, it gets to the idea of that when they get through that whole process, they get to the idea of what I call, how do you think about innovation? How do you think about change and innovation in your company? And it's important that, if you follow all these steps, you'll always be thinking about what more can I add? What unique thing can I add from my skill set? What is my secret sauce to make things better in a company? So parang that's a constant cycle which we teach for entrepreneurs.
Grabe, RJ, ang dami. Parang now I see for every move, literally every move that he makes, merong something Something is born out of it. Like if you, with your podcast, diba, you get a lot of ideas na, and then, okay, execute na. Okay, there's a problem with Mercato. Okay, execute. Ang galing lang.
And what's nice is that's why I like the network is your network, because one of the best things I've learned from the startup world is really, or from other companies, that you do pilot testing or A/B testing, which just means that put it out, test it, make a mistake, it's fine because it's really meant to make a mistake, and you come back and improve. So if you've got A/B testing, you do test A, test B, see which one works the best. Then if test A works best, kill test A, kill test B. Then you lean into test A, really put your effort behind it. So the thing is that why it means a lot to me is because I came from a corporate background. At the same time, academically, you're always taught now if you fail, that's it for you, right? So it's hard to get out of that mindset. But I've had to learn how to fail many times because you realize that failure is just feedback. Failure just feeds into how to improve things. It's not easy, I mean, how do you tell your kids it's okay to fail? It's not easy, but it's something that you kind of have to learn. I'm learning that on the way as well.
Exactly. It's part of the journey.
Part of the journey.
You can't be very successful agad nang
Yeah.
walang...
There's no great businessman that I know who hasn't failed in the past. Not to say that I'm great at failing. No, I still have my own. I still have my own fears and inadequacies when it comes to failure. But I'm learning step by step on how to deal with them.
Wonderful. So if you're thinking about, okay, I need to learn more about entrepreneurship and innovation, RJ is the guy.
Yep.
Because kita nyo, dami yan testing, and he's not afraid to continuously innovate. And then it's not just him. He has a lot of yun nga, network niya, and ang galing lang, RJ. So now talking about that, because I know, of course, in the next PHILSME Expo, you'll be there.
Yes,
You'll actually be in the conference to talk about entrepreneurship and innovation.
And this is exactly what I'll be talking about over there. So I'll going to go do a deeper dive into that one. And I actually did a lot with my last TEDx talk. But then it's really, what I like about it is that the more that I talk to people, the more that I start seeing the common denominators across all these different entrepreneurs and how they think about business. So, when I talk about, let's say, the idea of hustle, I can talk about actual examples of startups who talk about hustle, or the entrepreneurial mindset. There are actual examples which you can use. And it inspires more people to say, hey, if that person could do it, then I can also do it. And I think that's what's more important.
So can I ask now for just one, kung marami mang common denominators yan?
Yeah. Well, for example, the most important thing that you realize is that, I've worked many years with the people from Go Negosyo. And I often host those events and I moderate them. But the best learnings that I got was when I would stay in the VIP room, and then they would all be there, all the entrepreneurs would be talking. And when they talk they never talk about, oh, anong negosyo mo ngayon? Or they talk about their problems, because they're there, they all contribute to saying, how can we improve things? Because many entrepreneurs see the world through what we call the lens of opportunity. So for example, Trixie, when you travel a lot to Germany, right? Or as a tourist, or Thailand. And if you come there as a tourist and you come back home, you go, oh, I saw all these different sites, they're nice, you take pictures of the food, that's great. And that's how maybe a normal person would look at things. But what happens if you are your lens of opportunity when you come to those countries? You say, oh, look at what they're doing there. This is an interesting product, this is an interesting service. What can I do to sort of bring that sort of thing back home and create something from that one? And that's when you start seeing the world through that lens of opportunity, where things, you can create something from just looking around. Like I say, like in the pandemic, I often tell people that in the pandemic, if you came into it as a regular person, it'd be very scary, because if I took off my lens, I go, wow, there is social distancing, there is a lockdown, there's a disruption of the supply chain. So it's scary. But what happens all of a sudden when you put on your lens? You say, wait, what is the business opportunity that I can create because of the social distancing, or because of the lockdown, or because of this disruption in the supply chain? For example, a person I interviewed, very impressed by, I don't know if you guys know Jonalyn Ramos of Deer Skin and New Moon, no? She had a product called Skin Potions before, pre-pandemic, and all her branches had to close down because of the pandemic. So she had to quickly pivot her business, and the only thing that she had access to at that time was alcohol, because she had access to her suppliers. So she was first selling rubbing alcohol to people, and that was a big need, right? Then all of a sudden she realized that all these people, the biggest opportunity over there was that people said, you stay healthy during this pandemic, so she developed a healthy collagen drink. And that eventually became her new product, which was Deer Skin, which is a collagen drink. And now she's one of the biggest sellers in TikTok. Oh. So like you said, so many business opportunities emerge, particularly during times of crisis. In fact, in Chinese, Wei Ji means, is a term which is basically in crisis there's opportunity. In every crisis there's a great opportunity. Take a look at the 2008 global economic crisis. What really emerged over there as being a crisis? You know, during that economic crisis, what developed? Things like Airbnb, why? Cheaper alternative to hotel. Things like Uber, cheaper alternative to a regular taxi, let's just say. But fast forward 20 years later, these are billion-dollar companies which emerged because of problems. So in this pandemic, look at all these companies that have emerged as a result of the pandemic. And eventually they will evolve to become also large companies because they solve the initial problem and they will continue to solve problems as they grow. So these are the kind of things that I often talk about. I'll be talking about that in the PhilSME conference, and I also do talk about that when I give talks for different companies.
And now other people would ask, okay, but I want to be an entrepreneur. But the thing is, parang I don't have an eye for that. Parang it doesn't come natural to me. So do you think for aspiring people na who wants to have their own business, that is something na hindi dapat innate yan, or no, just train yourself, just continue to look.
Yeah, I think it's also practiced because for me, I grew up with a dad who was an entrepreneur. So he was always teaching me, entrepreneurs are the eternal optimist. I remember,
Eternal optimist.
yeah, I remember someone was telling me, a really great mentor of mine, Jerry Choa, the owner of Pro Friends, and he tells me, alam mo yung entrepreneur, kinakain na siya ng pating, sinasapak pa niya yung pating para makalayas, di ba? That's how it's like. That's how much gut that you have to be an entrepreneur. That's how optimistic that you have to be. And sometimes, it's not easy to dive into it altogether. So maybe you take your smaller steps into it. Some people, they say, their first problem is that, saan ako kukuha ng puhunan para maging entrepreneur? Di ba? Magbenta ka muna, buy and sell ka online. Yung mag-dropshipping ka, where maliit lang yung puhunan mo, mag-insurance ka, di ba? You don't have to go all into entrepreneurship, di ba? So it's not a linear process na dapat step 1, step 2, step 3, you're an entrepreneur na. You can step in a bit, check it out, then come back out again, di ba? But the point is you have to start developing the sort of gut that you need to stay in the entrepreneurship game. So the difference here, kasi like I often say, parang people say, okay, if you get in that 15-30 mindset of an employee, so that's your only cash flow, di ba? But sometimes entrepreneurs might think a bit differently. Okay, I have to create this cash flow by this time. What businesses can I create to develop a cash flow that will eventually meet that one?
Right. What else could I add?
Yeah.
Ano pang wala na kailangan na gawin ngayon?
Or example for me, like what do I see as my biggest, for me, hosting and moderating are entrepreneurial skill sets. You develop topics that you talk about, you develop a niche of how hosting that only you are able to do, and that's where I generate my income. So pag my lawa is my capital, and I use sometimes the capital which I gain from here to fund my entrepreneurial venture. So it depends really on how you use things, diba? How you use your skill sets. So skill sets are another word for what we call secret sauce. Secret sauce just means that's your innovation, diba? So for example, I often tell people, you have a problem, you want to solve a problem. You have to solve that problem in a unique way that nobody else can solve. That unique way that you solve it, that is your secret sauce. So for example, my secret sauce is the way that I'm able to host is a secret sauce.
No one else can
Nobody else can do it. And if somebody comes close to it, I've got to keep on improving my secret sauce. So for people, you have to really develop what makes you different. I often tell people, kunyari, if you're going to get to business na magbebenta ka rin ng milk tea dyan sa lugar ninyo, may 5 milk tea na dyan, ba't pabibili mga tao sa inyo? What's gonna make you different from that milk tea business that's over there? So you've got to have, unless your secret sauce is that you've got access to a specific supplier or to a network or to a technical skill set, then that's your secret sauce.
Tama, you need to have your own unique selling proposition to be able to be competitive at talagang makilala ng tao.
Yeah, secret sauce or value, people call it value added. Okay, host ka na, what more can you do? Can you plan? Can you sing? Yeah. But after you're able to demand the price, you have to remember that there's always competition. There's always people who keep on improving and improving. So innovation just means that you have to keep on solving problems and make yourself more and more unique. You can't do, if you've hit this level. I think what many entrepreneurs need to be, they have the ego to take a risk, but they have the humility to stay grounded, to say, okay, I'm not good enough, I can still improve. That's what they have to. It's a healthy balance between having that, not an ego na mayabang ka, but rather the confidence to say, okay, I'm going to take this risk and do this one, But you also have that humility to say, okay, I don't know enough about this, and I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to start again from scratch. Or you have to, especially in business, you've got to detach from you are not your business. You are not your ego. Okay.
That's the beauty of life, no? Like you can start anytime, you can fail anytime, and you have so many choices.
Yeah.
So RJ, now I'm thinking, when you were younger, have you always envisioned yourself to be like this? Like you do so many things, you perform so many responsibilities, at lahat yan nagagawa mo ng tama. Have you ever really envisioned yourself, or how did you become the RJ that you are
when
now?
I was very young, I was very. I think I have to, my mom and my dad made sure that I was very well-rounded. I didn't know just because I was the eldest, so it's like alpha male, doing that one. But so I was in academics and elocution, talumpatian, yung mga ganyan, speaking contests. And then over the years, I thought I would just be doing corporate type marketing work, but I didn't realize that you could turn, hosting into a profession and so that became one of them. And then and I enjoyed writing and being creative, and I didn't realize that could be turned into a skill set as well. That's why I was doing editing and writing work, because it works well. Writing works well together with speaking for me, right? And so I was able to combine that and turn that to a skill. I didn't realize also that my ability to get along with people or to network could also be a skill set that you develop. So it's just, those things just sort of weave together for me. So I'm very good that they sort of pushed a bit, and then I, eventually you take over. But for me, it all falls into a continuum, meaning it all makes sense. My wife had a professor in Ateneo Graduate School of Business in her Master's of Entrepreneurship, Professor Andy Ferreria. So if you guys want to do I highly suggest you do from entrepreneurs out there to try the Masters of Entrepreneurship in Ateneo. And he also mentored both of us, because she was not taking it, but we were both getting mentored. And he would often say that many entrepreneurs, if you look at them, sometimes who aren't in different businesses. For you won't see the connection as a regular person. Mm-hmm. You won't see it, but in the head of the entrepreneur, everything is connected. Everything makes sense to you. So in my mind, everything still makes sense to me. And the thing is with my wife, she also sees that, because she's also developed already that entrepreneurial mindset. She knows that when I'm doing something, I know why this is making sense to RJ now as well, because she sees that there's an overarching theme to all the businesses which she's putting together.
Ang galing. So talagang perfect partner kayo ni
Yes. And it's sometimes like just yourself with David, diba? You sometimes you find a good partner who's able to complement where you're weak. So very recently I had a great interview. From Business Manual, I just interviewed, and it's coming out soon. Si Dr. Ivy and Dr. Z Teo of the Ivy Clinic. And why that conversation really resonated with me was because exactly the relationship of Ivy and Z are almost like me and my wife. Si Z, is more of a big picture guy, business development, let's take the risk. But Ivy was more of, operational, finance, execution. And that's just me and my wife. So, I'm very good at the bigger ideas, but then she's very good at making sure that the finer detail, the execution gets done.
Ganda teamwork. Not everybody is blessed with such kind of partner. So I think talaga, laki pa ng mission yun ni Vanessa.
Yeah. We'll see where it takes us. But I'm glad that she's my partner in doing all these different things. I don't think if it was not for my wife, I don't think I would be able to do all these different things. So very, very, very thankful to how she's been able to help manage her household plus do this one. People don't realize just how much work. She's doing double work, diba? She's managing a household and managing the business. Managing me pa, so that's triple work, diba?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So RJ, okay. Now I wanna go a little bit deeper in one of your businesses. So for example, because Mercato Centrale, you are the founder, right? And how many years is Mercato?
We're about 15 years now.
15.
About 15 years now. Oh.
Wow. Okay. And it has grown. It's
grown.
Everywhere.
Yes. It's a great. I think we've really worked hard to help build the brand name as a small food business incubator. So that's what we're very proud of, because it's not just a business, but it's an advocacy. It's our why, diba? To help build small food businesses.
Why do you have that advocacy?
Okay. I'll step back and again, everything begins with a pain point, right? So what is the pain point for Mercato Central? So when my wife and I just got married, we honeymooned in Europe, and then we got to drop by the Mercato Centrale in Florence, Italy. And it was a great experience for her. She said, what can we do to sort of bring this experience back home? At that time, I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, we can't do this one. And then, but the idea percolated in her head. And eventually, we also saw how they like for me as a writer and a journalist, I was working for the Philippine Star. I was also the editor-chief of a men's lifestyle magazine at the time. Whenever we would be sent to Asian countries, the first place they would bring us to were to the food markets, which is, like Chatuchak in Thailand, Shilin in Taiwan. So in Singapore, there's so many hawker markets. So we said, there is a gap. There's an opportunity to develop a late-night food market that would be able to service, foreigners and locals where they can get late-night food and at the same time serve, help small food businesses to thrive. So that's the initial idea. And it was growing. And, the pandemic really tested us because the markets had to close down, all the public markets. And we could have just shut down the market as well and said, let's move on because we don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. But then the why starts to come out. Why our job is to help these small food vendors grow because we're looking at not just for the welfare of the kids is most important, but we're helping their dreams come true. So that's the sort of North Star that we had. And that's why up to now, we're very happy to see whenever they graduate from us. And that's why we keep on trying to build that why. What can we do in the market to further support these small food vendors? What's the ecosystem that we can create to make them bigger? Anybody can put up a food bazaar, right? But what's the bigger purpose? Is our bazaar just say, pay me? Or say, I want to invest in your growth, diba? That's different, diba? So I can maybe always say, join my market, pay me the bazaar, the rate. But mine's, join my market, we will help mentor you with our Mercato Academy. And if you guys are really doing a great job, then our job is to introduce you to investors to help you grow and become the next big food entrepreneur.
So this means, RJ, even if there's thousands and thousands of F&B or mga small food businesses, right? It means basta meron kang ma-discover the secret sauce mo. My God, anytime.
Yeah, anytime. But even before that one, we'll help you. We'll talk to you and find out what it is because sometimes it's a matter of you already have it, you just are not aware. You're not aware of it, and that our job is to help you. Recently, we just had Mercato Centrale partner together with Philippine Star for their Nakaka-Local Food Fair. It was one of the biggest that they had over there, and there were so many businesses over there that we saw. Wow, these are really great businesses, and we said, let's not just end with the food fair. Let's have you continue on in incubating their business. But at the same time, when they come to us, we're able to advise them now. Oh, you guys have potential, and we think we can help you scale when you join us, or you guys are almost there. We just need to identify what is your secret sauce so that when you hit a market like ours, you'll be able to get bigger. And one of the things we realize is very important for a night food market, aside from having secret sauce or something unique, is the showmanship. Meaning that, what does showmanship mean? It means that if in a market like that, in an outdoor market, you have to have something that will attract the people's attention. Just like doing TikTok and you're scrolling across, if you don't get their attention in the first 2 seconds, wala na yan. So what can they do in the market that will attract people's attention? So for example, you don't cook in the back, you cook in the front because it's showmanship, diba? For example, if you make ensaymada and you're selling ensaymada there, it's interesting, but people might pass you by. But what if you get ensaymada and you get some cheese and you put it there, then on the spot you grill you have one of those little fire things and you start torching the ensaymada with the cheese there, right? And you put bacon on top and people can smell it and see it. That becomes more interesting.
Ang dami nyo na nakuha ngayon kay RJ, and there will be more if you come and hear from him directly at the Philippine SME Business Conference. So RJ, daming tanong. Okay, I would wrap it up to parang daming tanong. Kailangan ng part 2 nito. Okay, so RJ, out of the many lessons you have learned in life, what's that one thing that you'd like to share today?
Stay tuned for a few messages from the sponsors that made this episode happen.
A lot of people ask me how I got here. And in all businesses, there are always going to be hiccups. But each time I miss a window or hit a bump in the road, I remember why I kept going. Just being able to do what I really want to do. Security Bank believed in me. Let's get to work.
Are you an enterprise owner, startup, or entrepreneur? Grow your business with Evident, your go-to purpose marketing firm. With our big hearts and even bigger results, we're here to help you shine. Email us at info@evident.ph to get your customized marketing investment plan.
Streamline your business processes to elevate overall productivity and enhance management effectiveness with AutoCount Business Solutions. Visit AutoCount's website at ph.autocountsoft.com today to learn more.
What's that one thing that you'd like to share to the world?
For me, I think the biggest thing for me is that the success of my marriage and my family is more important than the success of the business. I think so. I think that's what's the most important thing for me, that we just get that priority correct. Business can fail, business can do bad, and that's okay. But if I don't have my wife's love and support and respect, I don't think I'll be able to do what I'm doing here right now. So I am what I am because of the love of my wife and my family, and of course my extended family. But really with my wife helping me do things, that's really when I know. So that's what I want to work on.
I mean, ako parang, okay, that's how I feel. I can't imagine how Vanessa feels and your kids. So thank you very much. That's really, really wonderful. So RJ, do you have anything that you want to share, that you want to promote?
Yeah. So again, if anybody's interested, I would love to talk for you guys. I'm a motivational speaker. I'd love to share I'd like to help motivate your own businesses. Please get in touch with me at my website, www.rjledesma.com, or you also contact me on Facebook, Instagram, on TikTok. And please check out my magazine, my digital publication, The Business Manual. You can also listen to my podcast, the RJ Ledesma Podcast, on Facebook, Spotify, Google, Apple.
Maraming salamat, RJ. It's been a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
If you liked this show, like and tap the follow button. Please feel free to leave us a review before you go, as this will definitely help more SME business owners in the Philippines. Thank you. Until the next episode.